So let's have a look at that. So we are told that p of x, some function, it's a two-part function where the function is e to the minus x between -5 and less than 0, and x cubed plus 4 between 0 and 4 inclusive. Okay, maybe you didn't see that. That was e to the minus x. Maybe it's too small on the screen that you are looking at. Now, so I need to sketch this. How am I going to go about sketching that? Well, when we think about, in fact, I'm going to move this down. When we think about e to the minus x, we should be thinking a graph that sort of looks like that. So I'm going to have a graph that looks like that, but at 0 we are not including 0, so we are going to have an open circle, a blank circle inside it, and when x is -5, this value up here is going to be e to the -5, which is wait, hold on, e to the minus x, so it's -5, which is 148. Okay, does that make sense? Can you please let me know in the chat if this bit up to here makes sense? Right, the range make you confused, isn't it? +5. Yeah, it is +5. So -5 ends up becoming +5. And at this point here, we're going to have a solid circle because we include that value. Okay, so this is for the first bit. Between -5 and 0, we have now dealt with that. Now, between 0 and 4, we've got a cubic graph which is shifted up by 4. And so at 0, the y value is going to be 4. What's this y value at the blank circle? I've missed something out, which I'm going to lose marks for there. What is the value inside that blank circle there, please? It has to be 1, because my x value is 0, so e to the -0 is 1, so this is 1. And this is important because the next bit that I sketch now, x cubed plus 4, is going to start on the y-axis at 4. So we've got a solid circle there because we are including 0 in this range. And it's a cubic, so it's going to look like a cubic. And by the time we get up to 4, 4 cubed is 64 plus 4 is 68. So when we go across here, we get to 68. And we are also going to have a solid dot there. And this is what your graph looks like. Does that make sense? Are you happy with that? So can you tell me what mistakes you made in sketching this while you were sketching it compared to what I have done here? Identify all your mistakes and type them in the chat. Right, okay, so now you're getting an idea for y values, x values, shape of the graph, circles, whether you're drawing solid circles or empty circles. Okay, so all of these factors are going to contribute to your marks in this question. Right, okay. Can you please describe in the chat how I'm going to answer part B? Can you please describe in the chat how am I going to answer part B? Or even if you can tell me what that is going to look like on the graph, on this sketch. It wasn't that good. That was for the wrong person. Right, okay, so now we're getting the idea here. What we should be doing for part B is drawing a horizontal line at a height of 50. So maybe I'm going to draw one here. And what I have noticed is that there are two solutions. Okay, now for what I'm going to call x1 and x2. For x1, I am going to make e to the minus x, or in fact it's saying p of a equals 50. So if p of a equals 50, for the left-hand side, we are going to get e to the minus a equals 50. And we solve for a there. On the right-hand side, if p of a equals 50, we get a cubed plus 5 equals 50. Does that make sense? Are you happy with that? Oh, plus 4, what am I saying? Yeah. And so now I need to solve for a. How am I going to solve for a here on the left-hand side? Take logs on both sides, so we get minus a equals ln 50, and so a equals minus ln 50. And we can work that out to 2 decimal places, minus ln 50, we get minus 3.91. 2 decimal places. So that's that done. And then on the right hand side, we get a cubed equals 46. A is going to equal the cube root of 46. So we can do shift cube root of 46, and we get a equals 3.58. Okay, again, so you're slowly building up your understanding of how to sketch these two-part functions. Okay, and hopefully you've realized that unless you got it completely right, there's still area for improvement in this. So I'm going to come back to that at a later stage. Right, I'm going to go through this example on composite functions next. Okay, what are composite functions? Probably come across composite materials in chemistry, probably in GCSEs. I remember them from GCSEs. So it's sort of a mixture composite, isn't it? And so composite functions are when you're mixing functions, and really it's a function within a function. So it's a function within a function. Where have we seen this before? We did something on composite functions since I have started teaching you guys, and was used somewhere. Where did we use composite functions? I think we've used this notation before. Hopefully you remember the chain rule. To differentiate using the chain rule, when do we use that? When we have composite functions. Maybe it's going to make more sense now. So let's have a look. We've got f of x equals x squared, and g of x equals x plus 1. Now, in part A, we have been asked to work out fg of 1. What this is really saying is work out g of 1 first, and then use that as the input for f. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to work out g of 1. Well, you're going to work out g of 1. What is g of 1, please? Good. The answers that are coming through are good. G of 1, if my input here is 1, on the right hand side it's 1, so I get 1 plus 1 is 2. So this then is the same as saying f of 2. And so f of 2 is what? So all we're doing is replacing g of 1 in here and working out f of 2. So f of 2, obviously, if your input is 2 here, you're going to do 2 squared, which is 4. Does that make sense? And if it doesn't, that's fine. We're going to do a couple of examples to get our head around this. G f of 3. So what's the first thing I'm going to work out? F of 3. What is f of 3, please? Looking at the functions. Right, so f of 3 is 9, so I now need to work out g of 9, because it's g f of 3. And g of 9 is going to become 9 plus 1 is 10, so we get 10 there. Okay, that's all it is. All right, let's have a look at this. F of minus 2. And what's my starting point to work out f of minus 2? Work out the square brackets, essentially, is what we're doing. What is f of minus 2, please? F of minus 2 is 4. So now I need to work out f of 4. And what do we get in that case? We get 16. So f of minus 2 is the same as f of 4, which is 16. Now, the next thing that I'm going to look at is fg of x. Same principle. My first thing is to work out g of x. Well, g of x is already given to us, is x plus 1. So this then becomes f of x plus 1. What is f of x plus 1, please? What is f of x plus 1, please? Well, if your input is squared for f, then this is going to be x plus 1 squared. And you can expand it and simplify it, or you can leave it like that. So in doing that, what we have worked out is that fg of x equals x plus 1 squared. Does that make sense? Are we happy with that? Can you please let me know in the chat if this makes sense? Now, what's the benefit of doing this? Well, if we wanted to work out fg of 1, we simply can put it into this formula. 1 plus 1 squared, which is 2 squared, which is 4. And if we check the answer to part A, we see that fg of 1 is 4. So 2 ways of getting there. Right, okay. Can you please give me a formula for g f of x, please? G f of x. Right, let's have a look at this. So how am I going to tackle this? Starting point is to look at f of x. F of x equals x squared. So this then is the same as saying g of x squared. Now, if your input is x, you're adding 1 to it. If your input is x squared, you're adding 1 to x squared. So you get x squared plus 1. So g f of x equals x squared plus 1. No, it's not x plus 1 squared plus 1. Look at my working out and see if that makes sense. So we worked out f of x is x squared. And g of x is saying take your input and add 1 to it. So if your input is x squared, then we're just going to add 1 to it. Right, can you work out f of x, please? So starting point, f of x equals x squared. So this bit here inside the square brackets has become x squared. So I'm trying to work out now f of x squared If my input is x, I square it because it's saying f of x is x squared. If my input is x squared, I'm going to square that, and I end up getting x to the power of 4. And there's my answer. So what we have worked out is that f of x equals x to the power of 4. Right, okay, so you understand that. Any questions there? Right, here's the next question that I'd like you to have a go at. Keep sending your answers through as soon as you're done. So f of x is 3x plus 2. G of x is x squared plus 4. Now we've been asked to work out fg of x. So my starting point is to work out g of x, which is x squared plus 4. So this then becomes f of x squared plus 4. And so I'm going to do 3 times my new input, which is x squared plus 4 plus 2. And we get 3x squared plus 12 plus 2, which is 3x squared plus 14. Okay, so that is fg of x. And I think everyone that answered that got that right. So g f of x now is what we're working out. It's the same as saying g of 3x plus 2. And if your input is x, you're squaring that and adding 4. If your input is 3x plus 2, you're going to square that and add 4. So you should have had that as your answer. Now, you can expand and simplify. It doesn't say it wants it in a particular form. So you don't need to do any more than that. I'm going to do that anyway. 3x plus 2, so 9x squared, plus 6x is going to become plus 12x, plus 4 plus 4, I'm getting plus 8. Okay, check that simplified version against what you have. And send me your answer in for part C as soon as you are done. So f squared, what is f squared of x? Well, that's the same as saying f of x. And so f of x is the same as saying f of 3x plus 2. And so we get 3 times by 3x plus 2 plus 2. So we get 9x plus 6 plus 2, which is 9x plus 8. Okay, was that okay? All right, so you know what you're doing wrong there. Right, for D, can you let me know your answers as soon as you get them, please? So it's saying fg of b equals 62. Now, in part A, we worked out fg of x. We know what that function is, so we can use that. Fg of x is 3x squared plus 14. I'm just going to write down the side here. Fg of x equals 3x squared plus 14. But Fg of b now is what we're looking at, equals 62. So now we're going to get 3b squared plus 14 equals 62. So 3b squared equals 48. B squared equals 16. B is equal to plus or minus 4. Okay, are we happy with that? Any questions there? So, what do we have here? Fg of x equals gf of x. Now, first thing I'm going to do is work out fg of x. If I think about that, that is the same as saying f of x squared. And so that becomes 3x squared minus 2. Was that okay? Did you get the same thing there? And then we're going to look at gf of x. And so that's the same as saying g of 3x minus 2, which is the same as saying 3x minus 2 all squared. So now when we have to solve that equation, we are going to say 3x squared minus 2 equals 3x minus 2 all squared. And if I expand and simplify that, we get 3x squared minus 2 equals 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. If I bring everything over to one side, I get 6x squared minus 12x plus 6 equals 0. We divide through by 6 on both sides, we get x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. X minus 1, x minus 1 equals 0. So x equals 1. Okay, so there we have x equals 1. Are we happy with that? Any questions? So we've got p of x and we've been asked to work out qp of x. So qp of x equals q of 1 over x minus 2. That's what we have to do. So that then means we need to do 3 times by 1 over x minus 2 plus 4. Did you start off with that working out? Can you please let me know in the chat? And so if I do multiply the numerators, I get 3 over x minus 2 plus 4 over 1. And now I can cross multiply and make the denominators the same. And so we have got 3 plus 4 times by x minus 2 over x minus 2. And we've got 3 plus 4x minus 8 all over x minus 2, which is 4x minus 5 over x minus 2. Are we happy with that? Does that make sense? If you didn't get that right, can you identify where you've gone wrong, please? So in that form now, A equals 4, B equals -5, C equals 1, and D equals -2. And what we can say is 4x minus 5 over x minus 2 equals 16, where we need to solve for x. So we're going to multiply this to the top right. 4x minus 5 equals 16x minus 2. And we get 4x minus 5 equals 16x minus 32. So again, 27 equals 12x, and we get an x equals 27 over 12. Is that okay? Questions there? I'm going to look at fg of x. If you worked out fg of x already, can you please type it in the chat so I can compare my answer to yours? So we need fg of x. So that's the same as saying f of 3x minus 2 over 2. And so that then becomes modulus of 9 minus 4 times by 3x minus 2 over 2. Are we happy with everything I've done up to here? Does that make sense? Can you please have a quick look at your work and ensure that you are happy with this? Right, okay, so now that to me is minus, so I can cancel this out with this to leave a 2 up here. And I've got 2 times by 3x minus 2. And so if I take my time, expand and simplify, minus 2 times 3x is minus 6x. Minus 2 times by minus 2 is plus 4. So we are getting 13 minus 6x. So we are getting here modulus of 13 minus 6x. Are we happy with that? Is that what you got? And if you didn't, have you realized where your mistake lies? Right, okay. So how are we dealing with this? Well, I now need to solve fg of x equals x. Yeah, that's what I was saying, the brackets. Right, so that makes sense now. Now, that means modulus of 13 minus 6x equals x. What's the best way to solve this, please? What is the best way to solve this, please? Well, the best way to solve this is for you to sketch a graph. So we are going to sketch this graph. Well, 13 minus 3x, you could go start step by step. 13 minus 6x plus 13 looks like that. But we said anything negative, we are going to reflect So this now, this is still 13, this is 13 over 6. We think about y equals x on this graph. That is going to be, is it going to be steeper than these two lines or less steep? If I want to sketch y equals x on there, you should be thinking that is not going to be as steep and it's going to go through much, it's going to be much more shallow because the gradient here is 6 essentially, the size of the number is 6. So this was 13 minus 6x, this is 6x minus 13, and this is x, y equals x. Now to solve that, we know that there are two intersections, one here and another one here, and we can make the relevant parts of the curve equal to each other at this stage. 13 minus 6x equals x. Yeah, 13 equals 7x. X equals 13 over 7. And then we have got 6x minus 13 equals x. And so we get 5x equals 13. X equals 13 over 5. And there we have it. Okay, does that make sense? Are we happy with that?